in the heart of the Soviet Union's ambition to conquer the atom. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant was built not just to provide energy, but to showcase the USSR's technological might, a symbol of progress rising from the forests of northern Ukraine designed to power millions of homes and industries. It stood as a beacon of the future, a concrete and steel promise that the atom could be harnessed for peace and prosperity. Politicians praised it, scientists trusted it, and workers devoted their lives to it, believing they were part of something larger than themselves. But beneath the towering cooling towers and thick reactor walls lay a dangerous flaw, not just in the design, but in the system that valued production over safety, secrecy over truth. Chernobyl wasn't just built to light cities, it was built to prove a point that the Soviet system was powerful, modern, and unstoppable, until it wasn't. It was a quiet spring night in the Soviet Union when reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant prepared for a safety test that would go tragically wrong. The test was supposed to simulate a power outage to ensure that, even if electricity failed, the reactor could still be safely cooled. But in the control room, decisions were made that ignored protocol, bypassed safety systems, and pushed the reactor beyond its limits. At exactly 1:23 a.m. on April 26, 1986, the unthinkable happened. A massive explosion tore through the core, launching a 1,000-ton reactor lid into the air, shattering concrete and blasting radioactive material into the night sky. The earth shook, the air lit up with a blinding flash, and a deadly cloud of invisible poison began spreading silently over the land. But no one told the people. In the nearby city of Pripyat, just a few kilometers from the plant, 50,000 residents slept peacefully beneath a glowing sky, unaware that radiation hundreds of times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb was drifting through their windows. Firefighters were the first on the scene, brave men rushing toward the flames with no protective gear, no radiation suits, no warning. They fought what they thought was a normal fire, but this fire was different. It was burning with particles. No water could stop, a fire that entered their bodies with every breath. Some picked up chunks of graphite from the exploded core with their bare hands. Their skin began to blister, their eyes burned, and within hours they were vomiting from radiation sickness. Many of them would die within days, never knowing the true nature of what they had faced. Still, life in Pripyat went on as if nothing had happened. Children went to school. Families took walks. People stood on bridges, watching the strange red glow from the reactor, unknowingly soaking in lethal doses of radiation. It wasn't until 36 hours later that the order came to evacuate. Residents were told they had 2 hours to pack, that they would return in a few days, but they never did. Pripyat became a frozen city, filled with abandoned toys, half-eaten meals, empty strollers, and a Ferris wheel that never turned. It stood as a monument to the moment when time stopped, not with a bang, but with silence. Meanwhile, the Soviet government tried to hide the disaster. It was only after Swedish scientists detected radiation on their soil that the world learned something had gone terribly wrong. The invisible cloud had already spread across Europe. Thousands of people were exposed. In response, the USSR mobilized over 600,000 men, the liquidators, to clean up the mess. These were miners who dug tunnels under the reactor, soldiers who shoveled radioactive debris from rooftops, and engineers who built a massive sarcophagus to contain the burning reactor. Many of them gave their lives. Some were never thanked. But without them, the fallout could have poisoned half the continent. The disaster exposed the deep cracks in the Soviet system, a system built on secrecy, pride, and denial. Scientists who spoke out were silenced. Reports were rewritten. Truth became dangerous, but the truth could not be buried. Not in the soil soaked with cesium, not in the bodies of the dead, not in the eyes of the survivors. Decades later, Chernobyl remains a ghostly reminder of what happens when warning signs are ignored, when safety is sacrificed for control, and when a system refuses to admit it made a mistake. The sarcophagus still stands, but beneath it, the reactor still burns in silence. Radiation still leaks. The forest around the zone grows strangely, the trees mutated, the animals fearless. Nature tries to reclaim the land, but it is not the same. It never will be. Chernobyl is more than a disaster. It is a story of lies, of bravery, of silence, of sacrifice, a place where science met politics and truth was buried under concrete. And in that silence, the world learned a lesson that cannot be forgotten.
If you ask how they stopped the further spread of radiation, they built a sarcophagus, but it was built in 1986, was cracking, unstable, and leaking radiation. The world couldn't ignore it any longer. In 2016, after years of planning, the largest movable structure ever built on Earth began its slow, final journey. It was called the new Safe Confinement. Made of 36,000 tons of steel, 108 meters tall, and 165 meters long, it could completely cover the Statue of Liberty. It wasn't built over the reactor directly. Instead, it was constructed nearby, and then slid into place, millimeter by millimeter, on giant Teflon-coated tracks. The process took days. It was like watching a giant shield crawl toward a sleeping dragon. Inside, robotic cranes, air filtration systems, and monitoring technology are ready for the centuries-long battle against the radiation within. The project cost over $2 billion, funded by more than 40 countries. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about responsibility, legacy, and ensuring that future generations don't pay the price for the mistakes of the past.